late May Sunday in the northwest of Ireland. It's been spectacular, the weather today. And I took a trip to Castlebar in County Mayo, a very attractive town. And they had a car boot sale on there, and I picked up. The car boot sales are very good for picking up stuff that you will need should the worst arrive in terms of the shit hitting the fan. I needed a vice, but a bench vice, and you can pick up old tools there which are very good quality. Don't be put off by the fact that they have wooden handles. They're usually made in the UK or Germany or Switzerland or Austria. The tools that were used in Ireland from, say, the 1970s prior to that, and they were made of very high quality steel. And so I got a 1960s bench vise for a fiver. A fiver. Has a bit of rust on it. All I need to do is hit it with the drill and the wire scraper. Painted up in enamel red. Bit of WD-40 on the screw, and I have something that if you were to buy the Chinese version today would cost you like 50, 60 euros, and it would probably break after 6 months. So, car boot sales you'll find lots of useful things there, jars for canning and stuff like that. So, they're a good source for picking up useful items that could be very useful if the worst thing happens. Flea markets, Americans call them. Now, what was I going to say? Yeah, I've been thinking about the fashion industry a lot in recent times, especially after I was interviewed by Aisling O'Loughlin, who used to do a fashion TV show here on Irish mainstream TV, and she's like one of the celebrities in Ireland who was anti-lockdown and all that. So I've always assumed that there was something nefarious about the fashion industry, the fashion shows. That there was that they have these. When I say nefarious, I mean like possibly criminal. You have these bizarre costumes and outfits that make no sense to anyone. They'll never be worn in public. And you have all these lovies and all these like fashion house types standing alongside the catwalk going, some fruitcakes' spring collection. And the clothes are obviously gaslighting. And I used to think it was a big money laundering scam. Like the art business is a huge money laundering scam. But now I actually think that those fashion shows, especially after an image that's in the thumbnail of this picture, that one of my Facebook friends, Gemma, in England, posted to one of my groups. And it shows this woman in this outfit, I'm assuming it's a woman, in this outfit with one single tit in the middle of it and a nipple on it, and like a kind of an octopus cage on its head and kind of mandibles, and it looks like a Lovecraftian Cenobite. And lots of the types that show up at these shows and these outfits, they're straight out of Cenobites. So now I'm starting to think that these fashion shows that have all the crazy, degrading, gaslighting, depraved fashions are actually some kind of ritual mass for the invoking of entities, the entities that enter inside people and have them controlling this world like the lunatic asylum it is today. Like the fashion shows are a kind of grimoire in apparel. Now, there's, at the very least, it's an open wound to show you what the souls of the establishment and the globalists are really like inside. That they're not human like us. And they go to places like Davos for the WEF, and they make speeches about how to control us and what they're going to do with us. And they don't even know what we are. They are just crazies. And there's a lot of good to be thankful for lately. It seems more and more people are seeing right through these nut jobs in the WEF, and particularly the WHO, World Health Organization. Now, the World Health Organization appears to be how China is taking over the world. They own the WHO, and they get the WHO to implement policies that the Chinese Communist Party want on a global level, specifically for these policies to destroy the West. And maybe the WEF and Klaus Schwab is also the same. Now, more and more people you can see are definitely seeing through this stuff. But what is really telling, really telling, is that no senior politician went to the WEF this year. Not a single one. Now, it was mostly bureaucrats and civil servants and things like TV presenters and stuff like that. Of course, the Irish Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister went along thinking they were going to be big, acting like they're big statesmen at an important meeting. And they're the only heads of state, and these mediocre fools are surrounded by civil servants and bureaucrats because the real big guys couldn't be bothered going. And that's how out of touch with reality Micheál Martin and Varadkar is, and Coveney. These people are nuts, and they're mediocre as well, so we'll have no problem defeating them. Dave Cullen made a very good video slagging off the WTBF, and it was really refreshing and good to see. And also Neil Oliver on GB News made a magnificent, beautiful speech about them as well, and the desire for calling on the allegories of the Pictish armies facing the Romans. Our empires can be defeated. This one will be defeated too, the globalists. Now, even the Irish propaganda service, RTE News, had a report from Davos saying, "Is globalization dead?" We can easily win this. Now, the biggest danger we face of all is that the Chinese are actually using the World Economic Forum and the World Health Organization as Trojan horses for them to build a global empire by piggybacking upon or being hidden inside. And this is why they're getting they're trying to get international treaties passed that will basically destroy the West, so China can take it over much more easily. See, that's what happened really in Sri Lanka. The Chinese took the country over, and that's they built a huge port, and one of the great tragedies is going to be so difficult for Sri Lanka to get out of it because they're owned by the Chinese. The Chinese will decide what the fate of that country is. So then they've no more freedom than when when the British ran the place in the British Empire, and the Dutch and the Portuguese before that. So these people are insane, and they're easy to take down. I'm convinced of that now. One of the things that we have in our favour is that we have natural law in our favour. It's against natural law and every form of ritual magic to impose your will upon someone else against their will, or just to impose it upon them when they never asked for it. This is profane in the extreme, and that's what these people are doing. That means they're completely in violation of natural law. And that's why people like myself and Neil Oliver and John Waters can reach huge audiences now, and the people in Ireland are definitely turning around big time. All I have to do is look at the comments in the newspapers. They're terrified. The establishment here are really getting worried now, and the monkey bollocks thing isn't working. It's not working. The banana bollocks, it isn't working at all to terrorize the masses into submission again. I think most people are kind of aware now that the Russians have already won in Eastern Europe, and it's just cartoon and propaganda from the Western news media telling us lies about Putin has been arrested and he's dead and all this crap. They're the ultimate tards now. The ultimate like truther tards now are the mainstream media when it comes to Russia and Ukraine. So don't ever give up hope. But like I said, what we have, we hold. And as Aleister Crowley said, you're creating magic subconsciously every day of your life. So you better learn how to do it consciously, and you better learn to get good at it. Now, there's been so much magic unleashed in recent years. Right before the Rona thing started, I was saying things about what was coming down the line, and what it basically was the Rona thing. These are accidental magic. So what we need to do is to now conjure these things into reality. I'll give you an example of how powerful it is. When John Waters went on the Dave Cullen show, I think it was 2019, 2020, the Christmas Den, and Dave said to John, well, what do we do over the Christmas period that can help free us from what's going on? And I swear to God, you can look up for yourself. John Waters said, look to the Russians. Now, he meant Russian writers like Dostoevsky and Solzhenitsyn and that kind of thing. But he said, look to the Russians. And it was the Russians who freed Ireland by invading to Ukraine and giving the politicians here an excuse to like jump on something else and play some other game. So we have to do that deliberately. And just by being aware of what they are. But I'll tell you one way you won't do it. Oh, it's not over yet. Oh, they're going to come for us. It's going to be even worse. You see in all the comments in my videos, there's loads of comments like that. Well, you can keep being negative like that, but I really do believe that the average person gets to see what the WEF and the WHO are. And that's our job in the alt media, to show them the stuff that the mainstream media isn't actually presenting to them. And they will see these people are nut jobs. And just like all the Catholic newspapers have turned on the WEF by saying like these people are nut jobs, transhumanist nut jobs. So there's a lot of good hope and a lot of good news. The fashion industry, the more depraved it becomes, the more the globalists are facing their annihilation, because we're getting to see the Cenobite below consuming its host. Okay, take care of yourselves and have a lovely day wherever you are.